Hello, Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Hope you're all safe, sound, and healthy. And this is part two of the worst December ever because I had to quickly sort of wind up the previous episode. And I knew that I would have to make a part two because I had to go somewhere and I had to, and also it was going pretty long. It was going up to 35 minutes. So I was like, let's just finish it here and then move on. So, yeah, because there are a few things that I had to clarify. Number one, which I was talking about, the Punjab police, and then I deviated on to how the army was trying to pressurize the Punjab police to take liability for or claim responsibility for the 36 of those 100 deaths of Dichok. So, what I was trying to say is that can you honestly tell me that the Punjab police is not corrupt from A to Z? Are you still going to argue that, oh, it's an organization, it has a hierarchy and all? No. Again, we have a full force of thousands of police officers. If they really thought what was happening was wrong, if they all suddenly decided not to follow the IG, what would have happened? What would have happened? If all the soldiers, okay, fine, they cannot start mutiny. Okay, they can resign. So at the end of the day, your jobs, your worldly benefits are more important to you than what you're made to do. And whatever you're doing is just to hold on to your jobs. So, yeah, no, I'm sorry, you are corrupt. You are just as corrupt, just as unethical, and just as dishonest. So when the people do a total sum up and say the whole of the police is corrupt and the whole of the army is corrupt, they're right. And I'm sorry to say Shabazz Gill is wrong. And so is Mohit Pirzada. Because again, I would say, look at history. For a person like Mohit Pirzada, I would really think that he would look at history. Because when you look at history, then you know you're wrong. Because in history, we have seen soldiers rise against their leaders. And today, when today it's even more easier for them to rise against their leaders. It's easier for them. Why? Because there's the social media, information technology. Similarly, if you look at the Pakistani media, they are corrupt. The journalists, they are corrupt. Why? Because they want to make as much money as they can, and they do not care how they make it. They do not care that they have to be the mouthpiece of the government in order to make it. They do not care that they have to please the dictators in order to do it. They want to make money and they want to enjoy because they feel they deserve this. Right? Similarly, the sum up of my blaming parents and our culture for the monsters we've produced, I think I cannot cite that enough. Again, subjugation, oppression begins at home. When you tell your children, you cannot do that, you have to do what we want, you have to do what we. And then when you gaslight your children and say, we're doing everything for you, even though actually you're doing whatever you want, you're not actually doing it for them. Because in Islam, the definition of doing something for somebody is doing what they want. So if I tell somebody I'm doing something for you, oh yeah, I'm actually doing something for them because I'm doing what they want, the way they want it. You understand? But if you're doing something that you want, but you're forcing it on your kids or on your siblings or on your relatives or whoever and say, oh, I'm doing it for you. So you see, this is the exact same thing that your government and your army is doing. They're killing you, but they're saying we have a clear conscience. They're blaming their victims. Oh, they're the ones who came out. Why did they come out? It's their fault. This Pakistani mentality, which is now a global mentality, I'm sorry to say. Before I could actually differentiate this, because in other countries you didn't find this mentality. But with what is going on in Palestine, you could call it a global or at least a partially global mentality, where people are like, oh, but yeah, the Palestinians don't have the right to defend themselves because the Israelis are defending themselves from what? The Israelis occupied Palestine. They're still in the state of occupying Palestine. Who and what did they defend? Explain that. So you cannot say this, that you're not gaslighting your people. The American government has been gaslighting its people. Israel has been gaslighting the world, the Western world, not the other, no, sorry, only the Western world. And over here, our army, our government has been gaslighting us because this is the environment that they have lived in, or we have lived in. Our parents have been gaslighting us our whole lives. Our siblings have gaslighted us, when they burden us with their burdens, in other words. When people talk about rights more than duties, they're gaslighting you. You know, rights are equal. Respect is equal. When you don't respect your children, when they grow up and then they gain power, they will not respect those beneath them. Our parents do not respect us. We may think it's a matter of pride, culturally speaking, but it's not. It's a matter of shame, Islamically speaking. Our parents disrespected us, they dissed us, they dismissed us, they did whatever they wanted and they gaslighted us and said it's for us. They controlled us, they deliberately controlled our lives, they controlled the jobs we needed to take, they controlled the lives we needed to live, they controlled who we wanted to marry. All of this is against Islam, and these are supposed to be Muslim parents. And the exact outcome is your society has become so toxic that now everybody believes that he has the right to do the same to anybody who is beneath him. And the more power you get, the more violent you will get, the more abusive you will get, the more you will gaslight. This is how your culture begins from home into society, and it becomes your governance, and it becomes the face of your country. It becomes who you are and what your country is. For example, if we look at the Holocaust, to me, the Holocaust itself is also a form of gaslighting. First of all, where's the proof? All the horrors that they talk about, I'm sorry, but I have not seen any actual documented proof. Okay? Yes, definitely there was the Holocaust, but I'm talking about the exaggerated details about the furnaces and this and that, which obviously many people later on who did research said that this is actually impossible. What they were talking about is actually practically impossible. So, but they claimed that the Germans did it. Okay. But guess what? Right now the Germans are with them again. So, how can you be with the same people who you were going against? How can you team up with them? Number two, let's talk about Americans and British and Europeans in general. They're supposed to be Christians. They're atheists now, but essentially they're Christians, right? Be they nominal, be they practicing, be they in name only, or be they, just now atheists or agnostics or whatever, but their roots are Christian. Now, you had a problem with Christians because, obviously your people killed Jesus. Obviously he didn't die. God saved him and took him up. But according to your history, you tortured and killed Jesus. And so then what did the Christians do at the end? The Germans, who were the Christians, they tortured you, which you call the Holocaust. And who gave you refuge? The Muslims. Even then, when you had a problem with the Christians and they drove you out, who allowed you back into the Middle East? The Muslims. Who gave you space to breathe, to live, to survive? The Muslims. And who are you working with and who are you killing? You're working with those Christians, those Germans, and you're killing the Muslims, who time and again throughout history saved your bloody asses. And probably that's why Hitler wanted to kill all the Jews, I don't know, but There you are. You are that camel that entered the Arab's tent. It's as simple as that. Again, I'm talking about mentality. Look at the mentality of those who support you. Similarly, look at the mentality of those who still have the shamelessness to support the army and the government of Pakistan. There are still those. Again, they're doing it for worldly benefits, so they're utterly shameless. These are those people who can change religions if it can gain them anything. And they have. Again, I've repeatedly said that. Do not think that your politicians and your chief of army are Muslims. They're not. The first thing they sign away is their religion. The second thing they sign away is their patriotism. The third thing is when they change alliances. Okay, it's as simple as that. So you're dealing with monsters that you've created by your complacency, by your toxic culture, by your familial structures, and by your mentality. The mentality that says that the victim looks nice when he's on the ground, because you love to call people, oh bichara, oh bichari. You just love to call a victim a victim. It makes you feel very nice, when you call that person, oh poor him, oh poor her. But when those people do not want to be called poor and they want to do something about it, then you have a problem. You're like, no, just keep lying down as a victim so that we can pet you. We can pet you like dogs and cats. Just keep on lying down. Don't you dare stand up for your right. No. Then you're wrong then. This is the mentality in Pakistan. You need to understand that. This is the mentality, as I said, that is actually global to a large extent. But this is especially, we're talking about Pakistan here. This is the mentality of India, Pakistan. Bangladesh, I can no longer say anything because Bangladesh has time and again given surprises to the world by proving that no, we're not sheeples. So no, they're not sheeples. They don't have that enslaved mentality. To that extent, at least, they don't have it, to the extent to which Indians and Pakistanis do. Where we are gaslighting each other and we're gaslighting ourselves. I mean, there's just no end to it. So, this was essential to note. Well, one of the points, which is why I actually pressed record, I cannot exactly remember. Maybe I made it, but I don't think so. I know I'm missing that point, and that was essentially why I started part 2. But there you are again. But this is how our minds have become now, because we're under so much stress, under so much tension, again, given by others. None of these tensions and stresses are self-made. They are all created by our families, by our parents, by, what loser siblings you might have in the mix who are throwing their responsibilities onto you, just like those losers that you have in the army trying to throw the responsibility to the police of those deaths, or the losers and politicians, who are trying to throw the responsibility of everything and anything that they've done to Imran Khan. I mean, imagine, it's like everything is on the record and you're literally trying to lie to our faces. But again, this is unique to our culture. Parents lie blatantly at the faces of their children, and then they lie blatantly in front of their friends or family or other people, acting as if they've done everything that they ever could for their children, and that their children are ungrateful and that they're living lavish lives, when the whole world can see that actually no, those people are suffering immensely. But nobody has the guts to tell it to their faces that no, you're wrong, your children are suffering because of you, because that is the hypocrisy that we have in our society. They will go to the children and say, oh, no, you've suffered at the hands of your parents. No, that's really bad. Yeah, try telling it to their faces. That's what I really want to say to those people who I see doing that, within families. So it's the exact same thing that you can see happening in the government, in the army, in the police. They're all blaming each other, and then they're all blaming Imran Khan. Okay, let's dump this on Imran Khan. Okay, let's dump that on Imran Khan. Everything was designed and planned and manipulated by them. Imran Khan got trapped And then they decided, let's blame him for this, let's blame him for this, let's blame him for that. People are not stupid, but people are hypocrites. Yes, people are hypocrites, and they will never have the, audacity to go up to these people and say, no, it's not his fault, it's yours. A majority of our people are hypocrites. There are those people, as I said, who can't even go up to the parents and say, no, you fucked your child's life, admit it, accept it. They will go to the child and say, yeah, your parents have fucked your lives, but they will never go to the parent and say, no, you fucked your child's life. No. So similarly, they will go to Imran Khan and his supporters and everybody and say, oh, they've fucked everything, they've fucked everything. But then when they're coming in front of the government and the army, they're quiet. Oh, I understand. To them, they'll say, oh, no, yes, 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 I understand. You're right. I understand. You're right. Yes, yes, you have your own story. You have your side of the story. So, with a country of people like these, do you honestly think this country can afford to exist? And obviously, knowing that these people are all out there actually to destroy this country, again, I would say, why don't you do it already and be done with it? What are you waiting for? Just be done with it already and set us free. An independent life, a free life in which you have a lot of challenges, is 1,000 times better than an enslaved life filled with superficial, apparent peace and benefits. Because it's superficial and it's apparent because it's not genuine, it's not actually there. You're just enslaved. So basically, you're trying to say that it's okay to live in prison because you're getting 3 times food. You don't have to struggle for it. You don't have to work for it. So yeah, much rather just stay in prison. The government is feeding us. That's exactly what you're saying. When you try to force people to succumb to your wishes, be you parents, or be you the army, or be you the police, or be you the government, it doesn't matter who the fuck you are, but this is exactly what you're doing. Is that you're telling everybody that I've given you a golden cage, you should be happy. Nobody wants a golden cage. A cage is a cage is a cage, okay? It doesn't matter what the fuck it's made out of. It is still a fucking cage. Nobody wants you to feed the bird. The bird doesn't want you to feed. The bird has 2 bloody motherfucking wings. It is given wings for a fucking reason. It needs to fly up in the air. If it was supposed to live in a cage and feed off of your hands, it wouldn't have any wings. But this is exactly how you've treated your children, and then they treated their children, and then they treated their children, and this became a mass culture that you're so proud of. And now you're whining about how those in power are treating you. This is the only way they know how to treat you. Because this is how they were treated by their parents. This is how culture told us we should be treated. And so this is how they're treating us. This is me signing out. Khuda Hafiz.